Excited to have Tyson Nam back on the program, who's coming off another big victory, this time for Front Street Fights, a round one KO victory over Mark Coates. And Tyson, I know you're almost a 40 fight professional veteran at this point. You've got quite a few knockouts. This one may have been the cleanest one. Am I wrong? It was pretty darn perfect towards the end there when you actually clipped him.
Um, I didn't even know I had that many fights. Yeah, and that is quite a few, and to pick them all out of there, I would say it's definitely up there on one of my cleanest knockouts, at least top three, because it was pretty sweet when I kept on watching the replay, just what I remembered, but yeah, it was definitely up there in one of the better knockouts that I've had.
They say when you catch someone's button and you knock them out, that it just feels like flush, like you're punching through something, like you don't even I guess really realize it until it actually happens. Can you kind of like explain that from a fighter's point of view?
It goes even further to where I didn't I had to watch the replay because what I thought happened live, it didn't even look that way when I watched the replay. I literally thought I blocked the kick, and there was like at least a second or two where like I planted, I moved, and then I came in and threw the right hand. But when I was watching the replay, it was like pretty instantaneous. It was just a block punch and I knocked him out. But that definitely did not feel like that's what happened in real life. And with the punch, yeah, it didn't even feel like I really. Every time I knock somebody out, it doesn't even feel like I hit them that hard. But when I watch the replay, just in my mind, I'm like, ooh, ouch. That was that looked pretty devastating.
Got to get some credit to Mark because he was pretty darn tough. You landed some big shots earlier on in the first round before you ultimately put him out. Were you surprised at to just how tough he actually was?
I thought he was going to be a gritty type of a fighter, and he definitely took a good punch. I even knocked him down, which the first time, which would have put a lot of people out. But him coming in 4.5 pounds overweight, closer, yeah, 4.5, 5 pounds. It probably did play a little bit that he could absorb a little bit more, but you don't want to absorb too much by this right hand.
Well, you certainly proved that yet again. Did you have a certain, game plan going into this matchup with Mark Coates, or were you just going to kind of go in there, feel him out, let the fight kind of play out as it will?
It didn't matter what his game plan was going to be, just because I've been working very diligently day in, day out since my last fight, whether it was improving my striking, improving my grappling. So it didn't matter where he what he wanted to do, which I thought he wanted to probably grapple, but I guess his game plan was to strike it out with me. Probably never the best game plan, but it's just me putting myself in the position where I want to, so that I can unleash my right hand, and it's never a surprise what I want to do, how I want to do it, but it's just me putting myself in the correct positions that my coach and we've been working pretty hard on top, because I've been in the game for a while, so there's a little bit of sorry for the bus, uh a little bit of old habits that you gotta break it down and try to implement these new strategies.
What was it like competing for Front Street Fights? How was the energy in the venue on fight night?
It was awesome, actually. You know, uh, I've been there once before, maybe about 2 years ago, and it was already good then, and they've like vastly improved now. The arena, the ice hockey arena, is literally inside of the hotel that we stayed at, and the hotel is it's awesome. And just Boise, Idaho in general, I want to say it's probably like top five fastest growing states in Hawaii. So it's clean, it's nice. There's not a bad place to eat, which is probably not the best thing when you're trying to cut weight. But the venue itself, everyone was all the workers, Vita the matchmaker. They're so professional. Everything is on time. 4:59, 5 o'clock. Let's go. Boom. It's everything was just so professionally ran. I only have good things to say about it.
That's great. Well, how did you celebrate the win? What was the go-to food? I'm sure you ate something delicious.
The hotel actually had a very nice restaurant. I had some. I ate what I ate the night before the fight, which is just a bison meatloaf. It was so good. You know, everything on top of that menu looked good, but I was like, oh, bison. Yeah, that I think I'll like that. But yeah, just bison meatloaf.
Okay. Sounds good to me. That's something that I'm sure I would love too. And obviously, Tyson, this is the first fight that you've had since your release from the UFC. I know you said in a previous interview that you're both salty and grateful. Where are your feelings at right now, and what are your goals now moving forward? Do you want to get back to the UFC? Do you think that is something that can happen here soon?
That is my number one goal. I always want to fight the best, and for the number one mixed martial arts promotion in the world. Um, I feel like this KO victory probably should have made some headlines over the weekend, being that it was probably the knockout of the week.
Mhm.
So I'm hoping the higher ups probably seen a highlight, maybe reviewed the fight, and maybe thinking, oh, I think we need this guy back up in here again. At least that's my thought and my process.
For sure. Well, as I imagine it would be. And correct me if I'm wrong, but are you 40 years old now?
I am. I
You're
am.
40. You
I
don't look it.
am.
You must have like a good skincare routine or something. Do you still feel like you're in your prime fight years?
It's a crazy thought just because, like the past, especially like 2 years, I've really taken care of myself where I really don't drink alcohol. So, and I've cleaned up my diet. I drink more water, and the biggest and probably the best thing that I ever did was now I actually sleep. Go figure, with a newborn baby, I sleep more. But I actually feel better now than I did 10 years ago, hands down. You know, 30 years old, I'm just out there wild and crazy, just drinking, getting 3 hours, 4 hours of sleep, and going to practice in the morning, and just felt like shit. So maybe just a little bit of self-care to your body, and I've brought back the hands of time to where I should have been performing like this all the time. So I'm feeling actually great right now, and I do feel like I'm feel better than when I was typically supposed to have been in my prime. So right now is my prime.
Okay. I love it. You see a lot of guys, especially in the fight game, if they get into their 40s, maybe they're still competing at the highest of levels, maybe in the bigger weight classes. Do you think
Mhm.
we're going to start to see that more so now as like nutrition, recovery, and all of that is just continuing to improve year to year, like in all the weight classes and some of the smaller ones, like what you compete in?
You know, I do feel like the prime years will start to advance a little bit, but even more so, even at the lighter weight classes, you've actually only seen Demetrius Johnson still been able to hold up to it. There has I couldn't name another 25, 35, or in their later 30s, even 40s, that can move just as good, if not better, than when they're in their early 30s. So I don't know. Maybe it's just I don't know. Maybe it's just sheer luck that I can sit there with Demetrius just saying that we look just as good, if not better, in our 40s.
Well, you're clearly going out there and proving it. This last fight for Front Street Fights was at bantamweight. Do you anticipate like going back down to 125? Is that where you still want to compete at?
I do want to fight at 125. it was just that I did not want to kill myself to fighting in a regional promotion. I want to still eat a little bit. I mean, I'm still eating clean. I'm not eating like garbage, but I just didn't want to go through the whole process of the hardcore dieting and then the hardcore weight cutting when regional promotions you should not have to be walking on death's door to step up on top of that scale. And I remember when I did uh uh corner someone last at Fun Street Fights. No one cut weight. Everyone was fighting at their respectable walking around weight. And good thing we didn't try to go to 125 just because my opponent missed weight, so it just kept it right there where I felt comfortable in my own body.
Yeah, and it turned out good for you. I do want to ask you too about your most recent fight in the UFC. That was a split loss to Azat Maksum. Close
Mhm.
fight. Looking back on it, like, do you agree with what the judges, with the way they went? Do you feel like you maybe should have got your hand raised there?
From the second that the bell rang in the third round, I thought I won the fight. I went back and I watched the video and I thought I won the fight. So, but there's no use crying over spilled milk. It's that's what it is, and I can't go and make a fuss about it. All I can do now is look ahead and knock people out to get back to where I belong. But yeah, that fight kind of sat a little bit heavy in my heart, just being that I trained so hard for that fight day in, day out. And the stats clearly was in my favor. And in any other sport, if you score more points than your opponent, you'll win, but I guess not in mixed martial arts.
Were you surprised when the UFC released you? Because it's not like you lost to some guy that, didn't have a stellar record. This guy, he was undefeated when you fought him, and for you to be released, I was surprised. I can't imagine how you felt.
Um, it was always in my mind already when they announced the decision, fighting out your contract, but two losses in a row. Um, I always thought in my mind, yeah, they're any day now they're gonna give my pink slip. But on the brighter side, hey, I can knock some other dudes out and make waves again, so that I can call upon their attention to bring me back. So, like I said, uh, salty but grateful at the same time. As always, every day, I'm doing what I love to do.
I mean, I'm not Sean Shelby or Mick Maynard, but I'd have to imagine if I was in their shoes, that probably the most likely, opportunity for you, maybe a short notice fight where, maybe the chips are stacked against you. You're facing someone that, has a lot of steam behind them. Is that kind of where your mindset's at, what you're preparing for, ultimately, if you do get this another opportunity in the UFC?
Yes, yes, and yes. Even talking about from my last fight in the UFC, which was I want to say it was July or it was hot in Vegas. We'll say summertime. And I remember talking with my manager and he's saying, "Hey, stay ready. We're gonna try to get you like on a short notice fight." So literally from last summer, I've been training like I was getting ready for a fight, which is probably why I look so damn good this past weekend. I've been literally training to fight for about 7 or 8 months, if my math does me correctly. But yeah, coming back from Boise, I'm gonna do the exact same thing. Like if someone was gonna call me for a short notice fight, back to the UFC, I'm back on the grind. Yesterday, I was already hitting some sprints, so I didn't take too much damage during the fight. He kicked my leg a couple times. He bopped me in the head a few times, so uh, I'm back, full steam ahead. I'm waiting and willing and ready.
So you're ready. If they call you next week, you'd be able to jump back in soon because you
Call
didn't
me
take.
today. Call me today. I'll fight today. But yeah, today's only Wednesday. Today's
Fair
only
enough, man.
Wednesday. But I'll be ready to fight today.
I love it. How is that balance like now? Like, with the newborn, and getting your training in. You said you're getting a lot more sleep now, so it just seems like maybe cutting out any alcohol has really just got you like in a perfect, day-to-day routine.
Yes, routine is always the biggest thing. Um, and even before I had a I had a baby, routine was always important. You know, you wake up at this time, you eat at this time, you drink water at this time, and then you're gonna hit the practice at this time. So I just had to shuffle things around to where, okay, I wake up with the baby at this time, start stretching while she watches me, hand her over to mommy, then I can go to practice. But I mean, my fiance, she's a super mom. She friggin', hold a cup of coffee in one hand, change a diaper, and play with the baby all at the same time. So it's not like I need to do a whole lot. I just need to assist and be the sous chef in in this partnership. But it was just a couple of things that you have to shuffle around and make sure that their sleep schedule is routine, their eat schedule is routine. It makes it so much easier to where I know when I have to stretch out, when I have to eat, and prepare myself mentally, get ready for practice. So, routine, 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 routine.
Well, very happy for all the success, both in your personal life and again getting this win here
Mm,
as a professional mixed martial artist. Again, Tyson Nam round one KO win at Front Street
mm,
fights over Mark
mm.
Coates. Great talking to you again, my man. Hopefully, we see you in the UFC again very soon. Before we do sign off, I want to give you the floor. If there's anything you want to plug, anyone you want to thank, the floor is yours.
Always thankful for my team, Gracie Technics, Legacy Muay Thai. Without them, I wouldn't be here knocking people out, trying to make my way back to the big show. Thank you very much, Ryan.